Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers strolled into Pittsburgh and ruined the Rodgers reunion. Welcome, football fans. It's Mitch here with my thoughts and reaction to the Packers' big statement victory on Sunday Night Football versus their former quarterback. That's right, Aaron Rodgers. 35-25 in one of the most anticipated matchups of 2025. A fun game, but I think also a statement for where the Packers want to be and want to go and where the Steelers are. So I want to discuss both teams, this game, where they're at, what this means. Before I do, Gronk, spike the like button, or shall I say, Tucker Kraft, spike that like button. Get in the comments and let me know your thoughts on the Packers' big win over Aaron Rodgers. 35-25 Packers. Jordan Love. Great performance. 29 for 37, 360, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a 134 passer rating. Aaron Rodgers, 24 for 36, 219, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 sacks, a 101 passer rating. Big difference in this game, Love took 0 sacks, and a lot of that was because of Jordan Love, not because of the offensive line, specifically early in the game. But the Green Bay Packers made a statement, and the Steelers continue to struggle defensively. And the Steelers continue to look like a team that maybe they'll flirt with the playoffs, maybe they'll make it, maybe they'll win a weak AFC North, no Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson injured for a few weeks. Maybe the Ravens climb their way back in this thing. It definitely opens the door. The Steelers are now 4-3. The Ravens just big win against Chicago. So possibility that the Steelers might blow this. They've been really bad in November, December, the last couple of years. But the crazy thing to me is Aaron Rodgers has actually been pretty good this year for the Steelers. And I actually thought he was pretty good in this game. Like, he wasn't bad by any standard. And yet, the one year they have serviceable quarterback play with the Steelers, their defense is bad. Outright bad. Atrocious. Terrible. No good. Trash. They were ripped apart by Jordan Love. And shall I say a new look Packer offense, because there was a return tonight. A return of my boy, a BLV legend. That's right, Christian Watson, who had 4 catches for 85 yards on 4 targets. He wasn't the star of the show, but he certainly was the, let's call it the unsung hero of the show. Because Christian Watson may have not played the full collection of snaps, but it just looks like a different offense for the Green Bay Packers when number 9 is playing at wide receiver. That speed, that vertical dimension, the size and speed, just that threatening presence that Christian Watson provides that many other receivers in the NFL can't replicate, and really no one on the Packers can replicate. He just opens up this entire field, and teams fear him because he's so fast, he's so big, and he can fly by you. And also, he showed off his feistiness, his physicality as a run blocker as well. But the Packers look like the offense that we've been waiting to see all year, right? I like the over in this game. The over certainly did hit in this game, right? We got 60 points in this matchup. The total is 45. And the Packers have scored 27 points exactly in every game except for 2, One where they scored 40 against Dallas and tied, and the other where they only scored 10 against Cleveland. So they've been a pretty good offense from a points perspective, even from an analytical, even statistical perspective. But everyone who's watched the Packers all year has kind of been watching them like, there's just like something missing here. Like, they're not running the ball as well. They are not as crisp in the passing game. Their short intermediate passing game is really not there. And it does feel like it's a little bit boom or bust. Like, run, big play down the field. Run, big play down the field. And there's not a lot of consistency. There's not a lot of 1,000 paper cut style of we're going to 7-yard you, 8-yard you, 9-yard you, 11 yards, 12 yards, 4 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. It's very much chunks, or nothing. And I feel like Watson returning certainly provided a little bit more of that opening for the offense to hit their checkdowns, for the run game to open up, for some of these swing passes to actually work out. And then Tucker Kraft totally dominated this game in all ways, shapes, and forms with dynamic one-on-one contested catches, with some of the ridiculous plays of the game, with yards after catch, on, money concepts from Matt LaFleur, play action, right? Tucker Kraft solidifying himself as an elite tight end in this league. He can block. He's one of the best yards after catch players in the league. And he's a red zone guy, and he's a touchdown scorer. 2 touchdowns in this game, 143 yards. He's solidified himself among the best tight ends. And I just feel like we kind of know what the Packers defense is. They didn't have Lucas Van Ness tonight, but they have a good pass rush that's capable of getting to the quarterback. They have some really solid, fast linebackers. Their safeties, I thought, were exceptional in this game. I thought their corners actually played admirably. I didn't think they played amazing, but I thought they played better than usual. And even if they allowed 25 points, which might have been the second most points they've allowed this year, outside of the Cowboys game, I still felt like their defense did make some plays here and certainly allowed them to be looking like an elite contender in this game. Now, the game didn't really look that way in the first half. It was 16-7 at halftime for Pittsburgh. And Green Bay really unlocked in that second half, where they scored 28 points in the second half. Only 7 in the first half, 28 in the second half, and Pittsburgh just couldn't keep up. Simple as that. They couldn't keep up. Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson started running the ball. Wilson especially, 11 carries for 61 yards, 5.5 yards per carry. Right? They started getting Watson down the field. And Jordan Love looked very composed, patient, and just took what was there. There was a lot of plays where I was getting frustrated with how many times he was checking the ball down and how many times he was just simply throwing the swing pass out in the flat, right? But it actually was kind of working, just staying ahead of the chains. Sometimes I've been very critical of Jordan Love for not just getting rid of the ball and living to see another down and not trying to always strike downfield and always going for the big play. And it felt like Love played with a lot of patience and he played with a lot of accuracy. I wouldn't even call it timing. I just feel like he played with some maturity in this game, right? In the first half, I felt like they were calling plays, and I saw this tweet where it said, Jordan Love is paid like a top 5 quarterback, but they're calling plays like he's paid as the 25th quarterback, or he's the 25th best quarterback in the league. And I couldn't agree more. The way they're calling plays, a lot of runs that are going really nowhere, right? Screens, design swing passes, Bo Nix type offense. Basically, right? And when they would take a shot, it was very much like formulated to do that. I believe on the Christian Watson deep post route that got the Packers into the red zone for one of their big go-ahead touchdowns was an audible by Jordan Love. I don't know that to be a fact, but I did see him check at the line to a different play, so I'm just assuming. And it kind of felt like the entire time he was going to strike downfield and take advantage of a matchup. And watching this team play, I'm like, early in the first half, they're trying to throw the ball to Romeo Doubs down the field and trying to spam that. And, you know, they're trying to just get like Savion Williams nonsense touches. And like, I don't know, man. I don't know about you, but like, I just feel like that's not the way this offense should operate. Like, I don't know, you know? So I'm kind of all over the map here. I'm kind of rambling, but I'm piecing together my thoughts. Like, I picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl before the season. And this is kind of what I expected from this offense. Balance, good play calling, explosive passing offense, and a quarterback that can work through a muddied pocket, can work with pressure in his face. Like, I felt like in the first half, the Steelers were actually getting pressure on Love. I'm not sure what the pressure numbers were, but it felt like they were getting to him. They were in his face, and he was having to make a lot of throws under duress and having to make a lot of off-balance completions. And in the second half, it felt like they kept the pass rush out bay, and Love was simply getting the ball out faster. And then when the Steelers would blitz, that's when he would take his shots down the field to his guys, right? Kraft, Watson, and occasionally Doubs. But yeah, I was impressed by the second half. 28 points. Runaway, right? 28-9 in the second half for the Packers. Their defense, Micah Parsons continues to look great. He did have a sack in this game, but he was constantly putting Rodgers under pressure. And every time you watch him for this Packers team, he just continues to remind you what his presence is. Like, you have to chip him. You have to double him. His relentlessness getting to the quarterback. His makeup speed, right? His acceleration. Like, Parsons is an every down terror. You watch Dallas this week, and that is easily the worst defense in the league and one of the worst I've ever seen. That is a transformational player, Micah Parsons. That guy is awesome. And then I thought that their safeties, Bullard, McKinney, and one more guy. Who's their other safety? Their third safety, Williams. Thought Williams played good. But their safeties are good in the back end. They do so much from man-to-man to tackling to breaking up passes down the field. Isaiah McDuffie was kind of interesting. You know, Collinsworth pointed out kind of early in the game that they were playing more 3 linebacker formations because the Steelers have 2-3 tight ends on the field a lot of the times. And you could actually see the Steelers had to they almost changed near the end of the game or the second half where they were playing more 3 receiver formations. And you'd see guys like Scotty Miller out there and Ben Skoranek out there. And that's just not the Steelers' game. Right? That's part of the problem with the Steelers is foundationally, fundamentally with Pittsburgh. They're a team that is meant to play defense first. They're meant to get to the quarterback, sack the quarterback, make big stops, strip sacks, interceptions, win through defense, win through special teams, win through Chris Boswell 60-yard field goals, especially at home. Right? This guy's kicking every field goal from the damn logo. Felt like the Steelers scored 9 points in the first half because their kicker could kick from 50 plus in that weather or in that environment, and McManus and the Packers couldn't. That was another element of this, right? Like the Steelers were up 16-7 at half, but it should have been 16-13. McManus missed 2 field goals in the first half. It was a closer game in the first half than the score indicated. And I even said to my dad at one point, I was like, doesn't it feel like the Packers are winning and they're losing? Like, they were down by a touchdown, but it always felt like the Packers were the better team. I don't know if it felt that way to you, but when I was watching the game, it was like, it just feels like the Packers, even if they're down in this game, it just kind of feels like this game is going the way they want it, or they have control of this game, and eventually it's going to go their way. That was just kind of the vibe I got. But Boswell was just hitting like 60-yard bombs like 3 times in the game. And McManus missed a 44-yard field goal. He missed a 50-yard field goal, something like that. And I just look at the Steelers, and I've said it all year. Like, this team is not going to continue to win games. We saw it on Thursday night against the Bengals. It's going to catch up to them. Like, this is a team foundationally, fundamentally, from their head coach being a defensive-minded guy, to the hiring of Arthur Smith, to the trades for Jalen Ramsey and the signings of Darius Slay and TJ Watt's contract and Patrick Queen's contract. This is a team that has spent the most money in the NFL on defense. This is a team in Pittsburgh that needs to win through their defense. And it's an old unit in Pittsburgh. And they can't win a game through defense. They can't win a game on defense on the road against an old Joe Flacco. They can't win a game and steal a game anymore against a good Packer team at home, even when they have a lead. This is the type of game that the Steelers in the past, 16-7 at half, the other team has missed some opportunities, missed some field goals. This is the type of game that they win. They're up by 2 scores. Now the other team has to drop back and throw. TJ Watt, here he comes. Cam Hayward, here he comes. Nick Herbig, here he comes. That's not what happened because the Steelers' defense is not the same. They don't have the corners on the outside to play their man-to-man cover one heavy scheme, right? Eventually, the Packers figured out that maybe we should play the 6'5" receiver with 4.2 speed. And eventually, the Packers made some plays down the field, and they said, hey, the Steelers can't cover tight ends. Tucker Kraft kept making plays. And Jordan Love was just very decisive and very quick with the ball, and he kind of just negated the pass rush. And the thing that I think is Jordan Love's special skill outside of his arm is his ability to throw from awkward platforms and awkward angles. And that kind of, a lot of the times, it negates poor pass blocking and it negates a pass rush because he can complete a lot of passes at awkward angles. And he can make a lot of throws with his feet not being set, which not a lot of quarterbacks can do at a high level. Like, Love is one of 5 or 6 in the NFL, maybe, right? But the Packers clearly look like the better team in the second half. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, again, back to this foundation. Mike Tomlin, the head coach. All this money on the defense. You've got an old 40-year-old quarterback who's playing well. But who does he have to throw to? And who's up front for him? Right? Like, he's got a suspect left tackle blocking Micah Parsons. He's got a mid at best offensive line. He's got mid at best running backs. He's got, like, his best weapons are his tight ends. And none of them are Tucker Kraft. He's got DK Metcalf. And that's basically it. Like, really. Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek, like, Calvin Austin. These guys are scrap heap replaceable receivers. The Packers literally have, outside of Metcalf, the Packers have like 4 or 5 receivers that are better than the Steelers' second receiver. Probably. Like, honestly. So, you look at the Steelers and it's just like, they're having to win shootouts with very little at receiver, very little at weapons. Like, you can only do so much if you're Arthur Smith or if you're Aaron Rodgers. I actually feel like Aaron Rodgers played pretty good. Like, I don't know what he's supposed to do here. He's facing a really good pass rush. He's got a suspect offensive line. His left guard gets hurt. He still throws a 101 passer rating. Like, he even avoided some mistakes, that incompletion that could have been a fumble in the pocket by hitting Jalen Warren underneath, just like getting the ball at the ground, very Tom Brady-like there. Like, I actually thought the Pittsburgh Steelers ran the ball well too. Like, Gainwell had 6.2 yards per carry. Warren had 4.8. Maybe they got away from that potentially. I don't know, but like, I don't know what you're supposed to do. if you're Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers offense. Like, this is just not how this team is built to win. If the other team scores 30 against Pittsburgh, they're supposed to lose. That's basically how, especially in Pittsburgh, that's how it's supposed to go. Right? So Pittsburgh's 4-3, and they just feel very mediocre because, like I've said all year, their offense is actually metrically, like statistically, analytically, they're a top 10 offense in the league. Like, they're like 8th in EPA before this game, and I'm sure they didn't really move very much. Next week, they play the Colts. The week after that, they play the Chargers. The week after that, they play the Bengals. All three offenses can cook. If the Steelers don't play some defense, they're going to lose all those games. They're going to lose all those games if they don't play some defense. They can't go toe-to-toe with Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor and Shane Steichen in that offense. If they can't play some defense, they can't go toe-to-toe with Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen. They can't do that. This Gladson kid. They can't do it. So to me, it's like the way the Steelers entered the season, if you would have told me Aaron Rodgers was playing this well, I would have said they were a legitimate threat. You look at what they've done like the last few weeks. They beat the Vikings, scoring 24 points. They scored 23 against a tough Cleveland defense. They scored 31 in a loss, and they scored 25 in a loss. And I understand that one of the touchdowns was a little late, but Packers are a top 10 defense in the league. Browns are a top 3 defense in the league. So to me, like, I think the fundamentals are wrong for the Steelers. And for the Packers, I still think they need to make a move at the deadline for a corner. I think they need a real number one corner who can at least match up with a number one receiver. I think that's really what they're missing. Their safeties are strong. Their linebackers are good, in my opinion. Their D-line is good. I don't think they're bad against the run. I don't think they really have a weakness there. They were missing Lucas Van Ness. Their pass rush is legit. You have a game closer, an ender, and Parsons. You have a really awesome edge too in Rashawn Gary. Devontae Wyatt certainly adds when he plays on this team. He hasn't played much this year. Their offense with Watson in there looks more dynamic, more explosive. And then you're going to get Jaden Reed back, who's kind of like your do-it-all gadget / zone-beating wide receiver. Tucker Kraft is developing into a stud tight end. Honestly, this looks like a very complete NFC contender that if they can just get a cornerback, I feel like they could go to the Super Bowl. Maybe they could already, but it does feel like they could just add that one cherry on top to kind of like solidify some of these big plays from not happening, right? That's just my opinion. Because really, when you look at it, this game was kind of like 35-19. And then there was an extra touchdown near the end. So, but going over some of the stats, 22 first downs for the Packers and 454 yards. 7.2 yards per play. Meanwhile, the Steelers had a 5.2 yards per play. Not bad, but the area of deficiency for the Steelers was 1 for 10 on third down. And it even felt like watching this game that every time the Steelers were in 2nd and 9 or 3rd and 7+, it felt like they had no chance of converting. And part of that is on Rodgers, because you should feel like your quarterback can make that play in that moment. But I honestly just feel like it's the infrastructure of the offense. It's the fact that they don't have a good receiving core. It's the fact that they don't have anyone outside of DK Metcalf to throw the ball to, that it's too obvious. It feels like they don't have a dynamic weapon outside of Metcalf, really. And Metcalf is not Jamar Chase. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's good, but he's really not all that different from George Pickens. In fact, I think Pickens might be better. And Metcalf even took a terrible penalty in this game. But I just kind of feel like every time the Steelers are in 2nd and 9, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, in this game, it felt like there was no way they were going to convert. They were 1 for 10. And part of that is also the opponent you're playing. You're playing the Packers. They have a great pass rush. They're going to get pressure on 3rd and 9. right? So, I don't know, man. Then the penalties, 6 for 65 on the Steelers. There was one like missed offside call against the Packers that probably should have been a call and I think a first down. It probably would have extended the drive or at least given them another chance for a shorter third down if I'm not mistaken on that drive. That was a little suspect. Not horrible officiating throughout the day, but that was pretty bad. The time of possession was relatively even. But yardage was a big difference. I mean, 454 yards. Like, the Packers and the Steelers had a turnover. There was a fumble, which gave the Packers a short field. A fumble by Gainwell, if I'm not mistaken. That was huge in the game, too. But there was a couple sequences, like the DK Metcalf penalty. I'm going to try and look this up just to confirm, like, what the sequencing was of this in the fourth quarter. If I can figure this out. Like, you look at the fourth quarter, guys. The fourth quarter for the Steelers. 3 plays, -3 yards. The game is 22-19 Green Bay. They're down by 3. A chance to go down the field, score, take the lead, tie the game. 3 plays, -3 yards. Rodgers sacked on first down by Parsons. Incomplete and incomplete on 3rd and 20. Then the Packers score again, 29-19. Then 3 plays, -9 yards. Warren run for 3 yards. Warren run, Metcalf penalty, which was huge because it was 2nd and 7. You take a 15-yard penalty. That makes it 3rd and 17. Then on 3rd and 17, you're not converting. So 3 for -3, 3 for -9. Then the Packers add a field goal, which only extends their lead. Then the Steelers get the ball back, down by 13 with still 5:28 left. You get a fumble. 2 plays, 3 yards, and a fumble. I mean, that's a terrible 3-drive sequence. 2 plays, 3 yards, fumble. 3 plays, -9 yards, terrible penalty. 3 plays, -3 yards. That's your 3-series sequence when the game was a 3-point game. And the Packers were able to extend it to becoming a essentially game over situation. Right? In the second half, as a collective, the Steelers, 3 plays, 2 yards. Packers, 9-play, 90-yard touchdown. Steelers, 7 plays, 39 yards and a field goal. Extended their lead to 5. Packers, 10 plays, 78 yards, touchdown. Take the lead. Then punt, fumble. Packers, meanwhile, touchdown, field goal, fumble, field goal, touchdown for the Steelers at the end. And it didn't matter. Right? So, and then early in the game as well, like, Steelers have 3 field goals. One field goal was from 48 yards. One field goal was from 50 yards. And another field goal was from 56 yards. And then a later field goal was from 56 yards again. So it's like, even their field goals are at the logo. Right? I don't know, like 3. Yeah, I just 454 yards. That should be the story of the game. 454 yards. I look at the Packers and I say, in the NFC, they can be as complete as anybody. They're kind of similar to the Rams, where both teams have weaknesses in the secondary. I think the Packers are a more athletic, faster defense. I think the Packers have the better defense out of the 2 teams. I think that the Packers are a bit more balanced, but the Rams have a better quarterback. So that would be pretty close. The Lions, we've seen that game play in week 1. We'll see it again. The Lions probably have the better roster, but I do wonder about the matchup because the Packers, I feel like that would be, we saw the first time. We'll see the second time how that goes. I do think the Packers match up well with the Eagles. I want to see that game. I think it's coming soon, if not next week. But the Packers are in the mix. I think they're as good or as big of a threat in the NFC as anyone. The Steelers, to me, they're hoping to survive. They're hoping to make their way to the playoffs. And I feel like if they do, they're an easy out. But I look at them and I say they're 4-3. They're probably going to lose their next 2 games. They'll probably be 4-5. Colts and Chargers. At Chargers on Sunday night. Good luck. They might beat the Bengals. I would expect them to be 5-5. Then they have at Chicago. Not going to be easy. The Bills. Probably a loss. The Ravens at Baltimore with Lamar. We'll see. Miami, probably a win at home. At the Lions, probably a loss. At the Browns, not going to be easy. And then the Ravens. So if they beat the Browns, the Dolphins, that's 2. If they beat the Bengals, that's 3. That's only 7 wins. If they beat the Bears, that's 8 wins. And if they can beat the Ravens once, that's 9 wins. I don't think this team's getting to 10 wins. So that opens the door, and that really, it's going to come down to those Ravens games probably. Because the Ravens have a really easy schedule. Or at least they have a little bit of a run here where it feels like the Ravens will be pretty heavy favorites in every game they play. They just beat the Bears by 14 without Lamar Jackson. They play the Dolphins on Thursday night, short week. We'll see if Lamar plays. Big game. The Vikings, who look like a disaster. The Browns, the Jets, the Bengals. That's the next few games. If Lamar is playing, you feel like they win all those games, right? And they could get right back to 500, and we're talking about this is an open division. So, we'll see. The Ravens still do have to play the Patriots, and they have to play the Packers. But it's going to come down to those Steelers games. It really is. Ravens, Steelers, Steelers, Ravens. It's going to come down to those games probably. Crazy, but it probably will. Those are my thoughts on Sunday Night Football. Packers, Steelers. Packers with a bit of a statement. Steelers, it is what it is. They can't win these type of games. Thanks for watching. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace!